It's Christmas at Pleasure Beach. It's the end of the season at Blackpool Pleasure Beach. It's their closing day today. There's a fireworks show at the end of the day. Park's open 11 while 5 and there's a firework display. But one of the main reasons I'm here today is there's a special event on after the park's closed, which is having a look at this. This is the new ride Avictus. This is a Intamin Gyro Swing that's actually popped up over the last few weeks. Quite rapid construction since the parts arrived on site. Obviously the ride's been in planning for a number of years now, but the actual final construction of it has taken place quite quickly. I think they're hoping to get it done before the weather turns, and then they can concentrate on some of the more ancillary things like the queues and the theming. But no, tonight as the park closes there's a Avictus Uncovered event where we'll get to take a close-up look at the new ride and get some sort of sneak peeks as to the new theming. So I thought I'd take you along and give you an insight into that. So if you look over there you can actually see a cordoned off or fenced off area right up to the edge. So that looks like part of tonight's viewing area for being able to have a look around the ride. I've obviously cleared that and fenced it off from the rest of the construction sites. Looks like this. So that looks like Andy doing some planning and some prep for tonight's tour. Obviously running through with the staff what we're going to be able to show and what we'll speak of. So yeah, there's a lot of preparation and planning goes into these events, and you can see Andy, Nathan and some of the team, David there as well, having a look round for what will hopefully be a good event tonight. Hopefully it doesn't get too muddy. So it's actually looking like quite a busy queue. The rain's held off for now. We're in the park, or on the park as people say. I think I'm going to head over for a quick go on the big one first, because I think the weather's going to change and that's going to close. So we'll have a walk up past the Avictus construction site, have a sneaky peek, but there's no point spending too much time there because we'll be having a good look round tonight. But first looks as we go around this corner, let's have a look at that. Yes, centre stage. The one thing you can say is that is really going to stand out and going to look impressive. From outside the park, I must say, because the big one is so big and people are so used to it, until this is actually swinging, you don't see the full impact of how big it is. But once that's swinging and from in the park, it is huge. Just as we're passing, that's where we're going to meet up tonight at Coasters after the firework display for the Avictus event. So yeah, that's where we'll be heading to later on for that event. But for now, let's go and have a go on the big one. Well, enjoyed that ride on the big one. Thrilling as always, brilliant views, a little bit rattly. I think as she ages, it's more and more rattly. It is the end of the season. I'm just down by the exit on the big one now, and I can see the prep for the fireworks tonight down here. So obviously you can actually see how they've actually got things laid out. Looks to be lots of the detonator cords and the electronics to actually fire off the fireworks. Yeah, so we'll see how that looks a little bit later on. So yes, that was the go on the big one. There's quite a lot of rides actually down today that have finished early for winter maintenance. The Burger King restaurant's not open. So yeah, Skyforce is actually up for sale. It had been reassembled during the middle of the season, and it's now possible for potential buyers to come and have a look and a ride. Maybe you want one for your back garden if you've got a big garden and a healthy wallet. But no, seriously, the ride had been deemed to not have enough throughput rider-wise for the space it took up within the park. And it's been there 10 years, so it's probably operational for 9 of those years. So yeah, up for sale. So if you know anybody that wants a bunch of red arrows and a big ride, give them a ring. It's time for a go on Big Dipper. I think it was opening at 12 today. So as you'll see behind me, other than seeing that shiny new ride, you'll be able to see the inclement weather on its way in. So I think we had the right choice in terms of doing the Big One and Big Dipper early on, because I think it might close later. But as you can see, there is Avictus. Still some hardware at the top to be installed, and I'm sure there's plenty of trim and theming to go on as well. But as you can see, when you look at the ride like that, that is just the actual legs of it. The pendulum's dangling down at the bottom at the moment. You've got to remember that that will be swinging, and very shortly the gap between there and the top of Big Dipper's droplet, around about there, you're probably going to see the new gondola. You can actually see they've actually got the ladders up to the maintenance platform fully installed now, and yeah, quite interesting to see what's going to be added to the top in terms of theming. But what I wanted to just quickly show you while I'm here is this. So, any guesses what this is? I'm going to tell you in a moment, but that had to be removed to allow the new ride to be delivered into the park. That is effectively some of the old monorail supports near the entrance of the Pleasure Beach, which I'll quickly show you in a moment. So yeah, the main section of the new Avictus ride was that large when being delivered. They had to take out a couple of these supports and put some temporary ones in to actually get the swing on the lorries to actually bring in the new piece. It's probably the pendulum arm, which is the single longest one piece. So where you can actually see those silver posts popping up the monorail track, that is where they've basically had to add extra support, because the actual supports have been removed. So as the evening rolls in, it's getting closer to fireworks time, and the event later on with Avictus. So we're going to have a wander down and watch the fireworks now, and then look forward to the behind the scenes event.
That was really good.
Way down towards the door of coasters.
They're all going in now.
Sorry.
I've been dying to do that all day. I'm not quite sure what it's got to do with Avictus, but it's good fun. Anyway, so hello and welcome everyone. Hopefully you're all wearing a lanyard that looks like this, because you'll need to wear that throughout the event this evening. So the first question that we won't be able to answer is, when is Avictus opening? The answer to this is it's opening in spring 2026. Every single person that works here that's in this room has been primed to say that. So spring 2026 is the answer. Okay. So the genesis of Avictus. So our story starts, well, it kind of starts in March last year, when we announced our season launch event that we were going to be introducing this ride. However, we did actually sign for the ride in the September before with Intamin at the IAPA event in September 2024, when we were in Amsterdam. In May, we revealed the ride name, Avictus. And in August, we revealed some of the Golden Snake backstory, and this story is going to continue through until the ride opens. In September, we buried a time capsule on the site with contributions from over 200 fans, which was really good. We've got a bit of a history with time capsules. We buried one near the Space Tower. I don't know whether anyone remembers that. Anyway, we can't find it. So at some point, someone will dig it up and we'll make a great discovery, but we know where this one is, hopefully. So engineering the ride, so we've had some recent milestones. In October, the piling work was completed for the ride, right down to a depth of about 20 metres. Part of that is because of the beach and the sand that Pleasure Beach is actually built on. And then just last week, after all the ride kit had actually arrived on site, and getting it on site was a bit of a drama. The pendulum part, which is the longest single part, only literally fitted with about an inch to spare by Passage del Terra. We actually brought it in that way. And yes, it's true that 2 supports went up and then they came back down and then they went back up again, and we put all 4 up. And that was partly to do with the weather on the day that we were doing it. It's quite a difficult thing to do. But the swing arm on the ride is now in place. And the seats are actually on site and they're waiting to be fitted. And you're going to get a little sneak peek at those seats this evening. We have something else to show you for the first time this evening as well. Okay, so you will get a nice up-close view of one of the toppers on the ride. So this is the top piece that's going to go right up on the ride on either side at the top, and you're going to see that. It's in 2 halves, but you'll still get to see it nice and up close this evening. That's obviously the first time we've announced that. Okay, so let's just give you a few. I mean, some of you will probably know most of this already, depending on how much of a geek you are, but this ride is the larger version. It's the 40-seater version. The height of the ride is about 27 metres, about 88 feet of the structure of the ride, but however, when it's at full swing, it goes up to 42 metres, which is about 138 feet, so hopefully it should swing higher than the big one in the section of the big one track that's close to the ride. The swing angle is about 120 degrees, and it's correct that riders should feel weightless when they're at the top of the ride. And then the maximum speed for the ride is about 98 kilometres per hour. The base itself is 26 metres by 16 metres. It's quite geeky, but anyway. And it also has the most powerful drive system on the market for this style of ride. This will actually be the 7th version of this size of this ride from Intamin that's out there in the world. So the other ones are in Finland, Sweden, Denmark, Australia, South Korea and Shanghai. So ours will be the biggest one in the UK by some considerable margin. Okay. But anyway, so there's 4 of these, so you get 1 each. So that's so first of all, number 41. 41. Boom, in the corner. Hopefully they're not safety critical. I'm sure they'll be fine. 66. There you go. Is Vicky the snake. Even though we've become quite close. Number 5. There you go. Sorry, Vicky. You served our purpose very well. Enjoy. There you go. So well done. A round of applause to everyone that won something. So the good bit. What we're going to do is we're going to split you literally down the middle, not literally, but so half the room is going to go down the River Caves ramp. We'll direct you into your view of the Avictus site. Remember, for all of that, filming and photos are absolutely fine. Don't forget, because of the position of it, don't forget to have a look at that topper that you've seen. It's in a bit of an odd place. You'll see a few other bits and pieces. And just remember, obviously, what we said about uneven surfaces, mud, low light levels, and all of that stuff. So that's going to be group 1. So anyone on that side of that line there down the middle, you, sir, you're in the middle, so that's with the hat. So you're the dividing line, if that's all right. If you're on that side, you go to the Avictus site first. And then if you're on this side of the room, if you can go to Wallace and Gromit.
I'm in group 2, so we're heading over to have a look and see what the surprise is at Wallace and Gromit. So yes, this part of the event is a walk through a Wallace and Gromit. Should be interesting. So it's not a ride in a slipper tonight, it's actually a walk through to have a look at what's been added. So yes, that part of the tour is actually, there's no new additional scenes in the ride, which I wondered if it was at first, but it was an extra look at parts of Wallace and Gromit that you don't even normally see as part of the behind the scenes tour. So we actually went in the workshop area, which sits right behind where the ride loading area is. So yeah, really interesting to see that. Still got its original track in that section from when it was the gold mine. So yeah, and now it's time for the main event, as I say, heading down towards Avictus to actually have a look at the ride itself. So let's have a look. Windy, rainy night, as we thought it might be. But we're heading to have a look at Avictus. I've switched back over to the waterproof camera. As Andy was saying, the piles for the ride go down 20 metres into the sand. Let's swing you around and have a look.
Straight through the doorway, just watch yourself.
Thank you, cheers. So our first close-up look at Avictus. Now the park's actually sectioned off a proper viewing area, so that's good. Let's have a look. So the actual gondola looks like it's made up in sections of 4 seats that are actually fastened together. Yeah, interesting. As you can see, it's a very wet, muddy Avictus construction site. But here she is, the ride in all the glory, in all the rain. But yeah, when you actually look at how big that base is there. So what we can actually see at the moment is the main swing arm without the gondola attached. That's actually in sections over stored underneath the big one at the moment, all ready to be bolted together. It's 40 seats in total. And if you actually have a look, you can actually see the motor there that's for spinning the actual gondola. Well fastened down at the bottom to stop the arm swinging about at the moment. And as Andy was saying, the footers for the ride actually go down 20 metres into the actual sand of the beach to give it a good firm footing. And interestingly, Andy referred to the original time capsule for when the space tower used to be here. That used to be located just here. So hidden under here somewhere is the time capsule that they planted at that point. Quite interesting for us today to be having a look from the other side of the gates. Normally we're peering through there to get a look, but today we're on this side. Yeah, so these are actually the toppers. They're in two halves. So what we actually see here is one topper for either the left or the right side of it. These join together to make a complete disc. So there's obviously another pair of them somewhere else around the part. But yeah, when they're joined together, they're going to make their way right at the top. Now this looks like it's actually part of the actual gondola's framework. The actual time capsule's been buried between those cones and the white lights up against that fence somewhere. So that's where the queue line's going as well, so it should be under there. Some lucky winners tonight got some bolts from the ride. The gondola will be constructed and added to the bottom of the swing arm very shortly. It's quite interesting that that doesn't actually come as one complete section. It looks like it's made up of chairs in sets of 4 that are bolted together. There's lots and lots of hardware here to actually then make the complete disc for the gondola that will be attached to that. So let's go and have a ride on Big Dipper and Icon in the dark. So this section of FY4 is likely to be disappearing, and this will be the main entrance to Avictus, and this will be where the queue line is. We've just had a night ride on Big Dipper in the wet. That was awesome, to be honest. That was super fast tonight with it being wet, and I'm sure it feels like it's going faster in dark anyway. But now we're going to head across to hopefully have a go on Icon. So after a ride on Big Dipper and Icon, we've popped back into Coasters for a bite to eat. Various different things on offer and drinks included. Some of the lucky winners of the tickets to do the Infusion climb have got the coat zipped up and heading out in the rain to do that, but no, that should be really good. And obviously the park allowing them to take some photos of Avictus while they're up there now, so you should see those online soon. But no, it's been a really good event. Good to see some of the progress with the ride and see some of the details that are going into it. Thank you for watching Amusement and Adventure. If you like the video, please do consider subscribing to the channel, and I'll see you in the next video.